Yesterday we did talk about the ancient Chinese philosophy Confucianism, which became prominent throughout centuries, particularly throughout 500 BC and 400 BC. Confucianism became very prominent during Song and Ming dynasty, and later it became a resurgent Neo-Confucianism as well. And this philosophy, Neo-Confucianism, became so much flourished in the mainland China and spread across widely in several East Asian countries, particularly Hong Kong, Macau, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, and Vietnam. And this is the historical developments of Confucianism as a philosophy. Later on, in China, ancient China, there developed several other philosophical thoughts, including legalism, Mohism, Taoism, etc. Now let me talk about legalism. Legalism remained and became flourished throughout a long period. It is a contemporary period of Confucianism, Taoism as well. Legalism was an ancient philosophical tradition which mainly focused on jurisprudence of the state. Jurisprudence of the state, its laws, political realities, and bureaucratic management, effective bureaucratic management of that political system. Legalism primarily ignored morality and the so-called idealized religious views of society, which commanded people in every society to adhere to follow. On the contrary, legalistic philosophers focused on the pragmatic government. Legalistic philosophers focused on the pragmatic government of ancient China. This pragmatic government, through the power of an autocrat or hereditary monarch, for the imperial state. That is the philosophy of legalism, which mainly focused on to maintain order across China, throughout China, ancient China, for social security, growth, and stability. The legalistic philosophers initially were influenced by the Mohist ideas. Mohism was another philosophical thought. Mohism was founded by Mozi, an ancient philosopher, in 470 BC to 391 BC. The founder of Mohism was Mozi. And these legalistic philosophers at the initial stage was influenced by the Mohist ideas as well. The legalistic philosophers were many. One of the important legalistic philosophers was Shen Buhai, who lived 400 BC to 337 BC. He was the key figure of the legalistic philosophy of thought, and he was a prominent administrator and a political philosopher in ancient China. Another one was Shangya, who lived 390 to 350 BC. He was a central figure of the legalistic philosophy. He was also a leading statesman and political reformer. He transformed the kin state of ancient China into a dominant power across China and conquered and amalgamated the rest of China in 221 BC. He educated the legalist philosophy very effectively and became a powerful element to help the Qin state. Qin was a monarchic state to conquer the rest of China and amalgamate another weaker sections of the states of China. Shen's successor, Shen was the important, Shen Bukai was the important philosopher of legalism, a key figure. And his successor was Han Fei, who lived 280 to 233 BC. 280 to 233 BC, Han Fei, he was a powerful element of legalist thoughts, who synthesized the thoughts of other legalists in his permanent written texts. One of the most influential legalist text was written by Han Fei, who was considered as a great legalist philosopher during his ancient time. All of the legalist philosophical thoughts and texts were adeptly used by the Chinese statesmen and rulers, particularly all of the hereditary monarchic rulers of the imperial states. They considered the text as a guide for statesmanship and bureaucratic organization of the ancient imperial state. And legalism became very prominent because it dealt with the jurisprudence, the laws, political realities and situations and the reforms of it, and the bureaucratic management of the ancient system, Chinese system. And that is why legalism became very prominent during the ancient times, throughout all of these dynasties, imperial state dynasties. Another contemporary philosophical thought was Maoism. Maoism schools of thoughts was founded by Mao Xi, who lived 470 to 391 BC. It was a major school of thought which criticized several other philosophical thoughts, including Confucianism and Taoism. That is why Maoism was a rival philosophy against Confucianism and Taoism. We can discuss about it in the later episode about Maoism and Taoism. The remaining other ancient philosophical thoughts are Maoism and Taoism. We will discuss it about in the next episode. We have already discussed about Confucianism and legalism. Now, the remaining ancient philosophies are Maoism and Taoism, which we will discuss about in the next episode. Now, let us stop this episode.